gonna reveal something that I've been working on for so long now, and please, with open arms and a warm heart, say hello to my collaboration with Ofra! Hi, how are you? I'm definitely feeling a little bit sentimental for today's video because we are going to be talking about Nikkietutorials' next collaboration with Ofra, which is 3 liquid lipsticks and a Try highlighter, which was announced yesterday in a video. The reason this is a little bit sentimental is because one of the first ever scandals I spoke about was the Nikkietutorials Power of Makeup scandal. Too Faced and I have worked on this limited edition, the Power of Makeup collection. I just love the pink shades.
It's terrible, it's patchy, it's just not a good shadow.
The Power of Makeup palette. So Nikkietutorials went viral for her Power of Makeup, which was a big thing where she did a video only doing makeup on half of her face. Hey guys, I'm here today to show you the Power of Makeup. Have been almost ashamed to say that they love makeup, because nowadays when you say you love makeup, you either do it because you want to look good for boys, you do it because you're insecure, or you do it because you don't love yourself. And if there's one thing that completely changes up my eyes, it's eyeliner. The power of makeup. I just want people to know that makeup is fun and there are no rules to makeup. Went completely viral, and shortly soon after, quite a few months after, she announced a collaboration with Too Faced, which included a palette, a purple mascara, and a few other bits and pieces. Nikkietutorials is pretty much leading. She's on well over 6 million subscribers, and for those of you with a keen eye, you will remember that Nikkie was only on, she was around 3 million maybe a year ago. I think it's really blown up very, very quickly for Nikkie, and I do think a lot of that has come from a collaboration with Too Faced. And I have some juicy tea for you around those sorts of things, but let's just go with the story so far. I basically saw a lot of inconsistencies between what people were saying in the reviews and people's experiences and what Nikkie was showing in her video. It just didn't add up how she was having one experience, but then everyone else, not everyone, but most people that I came across, I will be honest with you, were having negative experiences with the palette. And the reason I think it's relevant is because that was Nikkie's really sort of big collab, and Too Faced is a massive company in England. We don't really have Too Faced, they're not sold in shops, but obviously, like, being a part of YouTube, I know all about Too Faced. And when you work with a very well-known brand, you will get instant exposure all across the world because you are in stores where people who are into makeup don't necessarily watch YouTube, will see your name, they'll see your palette, and it's boom, it's massive exposure. Too Faced was acquired by Estee Lauder for, I think it was $1.8 billion or $1.2 billion, something along the lines of massive acquisition. So I think it goes without saying that Too Faced is a massive company, very well known, and collaborating with such a big company will get your name on the radar. Of course, Nikkie's name was already on the radar, but definitely let me know down below if you would like me to recover the Power of Makeup scandal revisited, because I definitely want to do that. This collaboration that she has announced with Ofra is for, as I said, 3 liquid lipsticks. We have a sort of nudie shade, not really nude, it's like a purpley nudie shade, a very bold brownie shade, and I think it's like a metallic-y red shade, and a Try highlighter. I'm calling it a Try highlighter, it's probably not what it's called. It's a small-ish pan, and it contains 3 segments like a pizza, and within these segments you can see there is a highlighter for darker skin, a highlighter for medium skin, and a highlighter for very light skin. Anyway, she was critiqued for her Power of Makeup palette. From what I saw from a few people saying that it didn't really work for people of colour. There was a lot of inconsistencies with the quality of the shadows. Some people had really good shadows of particular one colours, other people that same colour would be bad but the rest would be good. And it was such a contrast to how Stephanie Nicole's makeup came out. I really started to ponder, so I took a look around YouTube to see what some other people were saying. This is one of the reviews that I came across.
I'm not too impressed. I noticed the ones that have the shimmer in it, they weren't as pigmented as the matte colors. The highlighter, there's no glow in the highlighter. Like, I think it is very ashy and is not pigmented.
And here is another.
The same thing. You can see the powder in here, and here is the swatch. So the pigmentation, let me apply a little bit more. The pigmentation is definitely not there.
So here is a photo from the Nikkietutorials release video where she shows her skin swatches, and here is a picture from the Stephanie Nicole video. I am not saying just go based purely on Stephanie Nicole, which is why I'm also going to include another picture here. of which I'm going to leave a link to the video down below. I think you can kind of see for yourself. If it was like a slight difference in lighting or in brush strokes, it would make sense, but literally you have like high pigmentation and payload against like not so high pigmentation. I don't know, I was just a bit, Shit hit the fan, and Nikkie wasn't able to talk about it. From what I understand, having learnt more about the industry, Nikkie is under contract with Too Faced when you work on a big collaboration with anyone, even Jaclyn Hill and Becca, for example. And Jaclyn actually went as far as apologising on Snapchat and basically said everyone can get a refund.
I just want to say that I completely agree with you guys. And I promised you guys that I would never put my name on something that isn't amazing, and this palette is not what I thought it was going to be.
You are surely bound into a contract with these massive corporations saying that you can't bash them or defame them, and that's just in the contract. You're not allowed to do that. So even if Nikkie wasn't having the best experience, perhaps she wasn't able to speak about that. I don't know that for definite, and I will be honest with you, she didn't say that to me. She hasn't told me anything to do with this. This collaboration with Ofra, the reason why I thought this was almost a little bit more interesting is because Ofra is very different to Too Faced. Very different. Ofra was originally established in 1994. It is a family-based company, and it relocated to the US in 1998. To me, personally, I view Ofra as a social media company. I view it very much as Morphe. It's sort of, there's nothing wrong with that, but it survives through influencers. I've personally never really heard of anyone talking about Ofra outside of YouTube, and that is not a diss, because my cosmetics no one's going to talk about outside of YouTube probably, do you know what I mean? But basically, my understanding of the deal between Nikkie and Too Faced is Nikkie was on a 10% commission for every sale. That's what I believe happened. That means she will have earned about $5.30 per sale. Some would say that's not a lot, but to work with such a big company that is giving you such big exposure is pretty good. The sales, from what I know from speaking to a lot of people that were working in the stores, weren't that good. They were saying there was a lot of pallets sat in the back that weren't selling, and after a while they ended up just putting them away and not keeping them on display because they weren't shifting. I don't know if that was because the price was quite inflated, it was one of the most expensive kits that Too Faced had done at the time, or because there was a sort of issue on social media with people reporting sort of problems. I don't know what that was. But I remember around the time a lot of people reaching out to me that worked in these stores saying to me they're not really selling that well because of the issues, or you know, they just haven't had that much exposure. From what I understand, having spoken to lots of beauty gurus, people don't tend to push their Ofra discount codes as often. Ofra, you might know, they offer like 30% discount, but in fact like they've added 30% onto the price, and then they reduce the 30% off when you use an influencer's code, because Nikkie announced that this collaboration was going to cost $79. I was like, but then she said with her Ofra discount code, you will get 30% off down to $53.
Tails for $79. Now here comes the little twist. If you order our collection box, you can use discount code Nikkie to save 30% off. So if you end up using the discount code at checkout, you will get 30% discount code, and that will take this box from $79 to $55.30.
Which is completely... We'll talk about the price. I don't think there's an issue with the price personally. But I think it's just something to remember. I think it's cheeky marketing. It's almost the same thing with Morphe. It's like Morphe have a constant code Morphe15, so you can always get 50% off. Or you can use an influencer's code. But to me, it's not a discount. It's not saving money. It's built into the price. You're paying someone's bills. Because when you use a coupon code, usually, like with Morphe, for example, the influencer will get 10% of the sale. You get 10% off, the influencer gets 10% of the sale, and Morphe get the other 80%. That's how things work. And that's why we sometimes see a very small range of products promoted by certain influencers. Nikkietutorials has definitely been under fire for this, because she tends to work with products that she has codes for and doesn't tend to work with products that she doesn't have codes or affiliate links for. Not all the time, but definitely quite often. If she wants to push the monetization and push other brands down, we can talk about it, but I'm not going to drag her for it and say this is wrong because it's her channel. I do think that the bigger people set the preset, and I think if this is makeup and you're only talking about the makeup that's going to literally put money in your bank account, I can see that as being a bit of an issue, because the younger channels and the smaller channels do look up to the bigger channels for inspiration. Quite often, not all the time. Why don't I just give you some inside tea? I was told Nikkietutorials makes about $50,000 a month from Morphe. 50, yeah, that was right. That was right. I wanted to get my numbers right then. So you can understand, I don't like exposing people's money, but you can understand that people can make an entire paycheck based on pushing Morphe. And when we see other people like, I just love Morphe, I just love Morphe. If you can't use Morphe, you don't use makeup. It's because Morphe pays the bills. Morphe pays the bills. Everyone has their own experiences. I personally don't like Morphe products that much. It wasn't for me. But what you enjoy is completely okay for you. This isn't me saying Morphe is bad, this isn't me saying you should avoid them, this is just me saying for me, I personally wasn't a big fan. And Jaclyn Hill is doing her palette with Morphe, so you can see, like, I think what we are beginning to see, and this is quite interesting, Nikkietutorials has gone from working with Too Faced, a very big brand, to working with Ofra. which I think is a smaller brand and is more social media based. Jaclyn Hill has gone from working with Becca, which was also acquired by Estee Lauder, as Too Faced was, and is now doing a collaboration with Morphe, another social media based brand. It seems like working with these smaller social media based brands offers more flexibility. When I've spoken to Jaclyn and asked her questions about this, she had said that, you know, she has a lot of creative freedom. She really feels like she's been able to create something that she wanted to create, which I think is fantastic. And I do think that's really interesting. I do think it's interesting that people are leaning more towards this. Now, a lot of you will have seen Nikkietutorials recently has been heavily backpedaling behind someone called Kim Tai. Kim Tai is, I mean, she's very new. I don't know a lot about her. Perhaps I'll speak to her in the future. But basically, Kim Tai came out of nowhere and had a collaboration with Ofra on a moisturiser. And we were thinking, how would you score a moisturiser collaboration so early? From what I understand, the proceeds that would have gone to Kim actually went to charity. So Kim didn't make any money from that. That's what I've heard from people that are friends with Kim. But the sales were tracked. So as an influencer, as a beauty guru, Kim can then go to companies and say, I sold this many with my code. This is my level of influence. Nikkietutorials was behind the product. She was pushing it. She was promoting it on social media. And it was kind of strange to see Nikkie working so closely with Ofra, because most influencers and gurus don't promote Ofra as often, because Ofra is a lot more expensive than Morphe. More people can afford Morphe, so they get more sales. That's basically it. With Morphe, you can make, for example, Nikkietutorials could make around $50,000 a month from Morphe, whereas Ofra, they might make $2,000, $5,000, maybe $10,000, which is obviously still a lot of money, but it's not as significant. However, I think Nikkie will be making more than a 10% commission with this work with Ofra, because Ofra is a smaller company. And with Too Faced, we're going to shift a lot of palettes because they were putting them into stores. But with Ofra, I don't think there is physical in stores as much, from what I understand. So a lot of the sales are going to be driven by Nikkie. So I imagine, even though the prices for the products is very similar to the Nikkietutorials Power of Makeup palette, I do think that Nikkie's going to be making a lot more money. From what I understand in terms of the sales, I believe Nikkie from commission made near to $1 million from the Too Faced collaboration, and that's pre-tax. With this collaboration, I have no idea how big it's going to be. Nikkie has blown up since the Too Faced thing, and this is something with Tarte. Tarte Cosmetics pay a fixed amount to people they do palettes with. From what I understand, having spoken to people that have done palettes with Tarte, they pay a lump sum. They don't pay commission. And I think we're going to talk about that in a future video, because I've definitely got some really good research on that for you. The products look pretty. I mean, Ofra is a company that I think have been a bit cheeky. I do think they've been cheeky. They offer these 30% codes, but I remember seeing recently they came out with a highlighter palette. And Ofra isn't a company that I personally have heard of very much. I haven't seen them a lot on social media, and I physically haven't seen them, but I am in England. But they released a highlighter palette for $150. I was like, wow. I mean, an ABH highlighter palette is what, like $40, $50? So I was very, very surprised to see them have such a high price when I haven't really heard of them, and it didn't look that expensive. Like, if it was like a new luxury brand, I could understand, you know, like sharp packaging and all of that, but it kind of just looked a bit plasticky and stuff like that, so I was surprised. But then you have this 30% off code, but to me it's not saving. You would never buy it for $150. You would buy it even for $100, I think is quite expensive. But you see what I mean? That's how I feel. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. I think Ofra are cheeky. I think they are intelligent. They are smart, and they know how to play the game. Morphe offers 10% codes. Some people will see Ofra and say, well, Ofra offers a 30% code, so let's go with Ofra for their liquid lipsticks instead of Morphe. But then, of course, you look at the actual prices, and they're both very, very similar. I am excited to get my hands on this palette. I have no beef, no hatred or anything towards Nikkie. I'm very excited to see what she's come out with. And I'm very excited to see what Jaclyn's going to come out with, because she said she was going to reveal and she hasn't revealed. So I want to say thank you for all the continuing love and support, and thank you for being there for me and supporting each other. That's the most important thing. And we have such a warm, positive community on this channel. It makes me so happy. I'm really hoping I'm going to get to see some of your pretty faces very soon. I love you so much, and I will see you really, really soon. Bye.